I'd like to kind of get some more clarity around the process of co-creation. So my partner and I found this.
Co-creation is important because you're not doing any of it on your own. There's too much other stuff going on that you are aware of that's mixed in with your vibration. So it's all co-creation, isn't it? Yeah.
So we found this amazing house that we absolutely love, but we haven't obviously come into full alignment with it yet because we're not living there.
Good point, isn't it?
This experience has taught me how to learn to let the thought to be enough. I think about the house, all the amazing things we're going to do there, the fun parties we're going to have, the family we can have.
Let the thoughts be enough for now, not forever, but for now.
Yeah, I don't need the house now. I'm really enjoying the thought of it and the vibration of it.
Well, it's all right to get the house now, but here's the thing. You have to make the best that you can of where you are in relationship to it. And when you make the best of where you are, so even though it's not really enough because there will always be more, it's enough for right now because you can find balance in it, then that's what we mean by enough. We don't mean settling for less than you want, because you can't give up your desire, but you can give up your resistance. And when you give up your resistance, then it's enough for now. And then it becomes more right away, because the only thing that's keeping enough from being more is resistance, because it's not enough. That makes sense? So if not enough can be enough, then it will be more. But if not enough is not enough, it can't be more. You get it? Next.
So he prefers to take the reality-based approach, looking at the money we have in the bank, etc. And I was wondering,
Nothing wrong with that if it's enough.
It's not currently enough.
Well, then it would help you to cash in some of your vibrational chips, because that's really where everything's coming from anyway. So are you telling us that your partner is using the evidence of not enough money as his reason to feel what?
That it can't happen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Even though so what you're saying is, so Abraham, I get it that thoughts are turning to things, and thoughts will turn to ideas, thoughts will turn to rendezvous, thoughts will turn to finding property, thoughts will turn to dollars. But since the thoughts haven't turned to the dollars yet, then I doubt the outcome altogether.
Yes. But I know it can happen. The last time I wanted a house, I only had 50 grand in the bank and I needed 200. And over the course of 2 months, the money came together. The house stayed on the market, which just doesn't happen in Seattle. The seller agreed to all of my terms, and it manifested. And so
you have an advantage over your partner. We really want to talk about this with all of you. We can stand here, and we do often, and express to you the laws of the universe, and we often express to you our knowing that what you desire is coming into place. But for so many of you, because words don't teach, it's just so many words. But when you've had the experience of having a desire and knowing that you weren't up to speed with the desire, but somehow focusing in a way that even though all the pieces hadn't manifested yet, you still felt okay about it. And because you still felt good in the process, you stayed in the receiving mode, which means you kept receiving the next idea and the next idea, so you had good timing. And then you were someone standing in the place of witnessing the unfolding, the thoughts turning into the things, until what you wanted came about. Isn't that a delicious way to live?
It really is, yes.
Our point is, don't worry about someone else who can't take your word for it, because words don't teach. But just keep teaching through the clarity of your own example. Just keep being sure yourself, or expectant yourself.
Mm-hmm. So is it possible for us to manifest this together if I come into fuller alignment with it and he just kind of stops paying attention to it?
Well, it doesn't really matter what anybody else is doing unless you're giving attention to what they're doing. So we're going to explain something here to you. We haven't talked about this in this way, and it's going to be a really eye-opening experience for all of you. We've talked about it, of course, for years, but we have a new way of presenting it to you that's going to help you a lot. It's going to start in what feels like a sort of new place. It isn't. Do you understand that you have two perspectives? That of your inner being, which includes all that you've asked for up to the very last request, and then how you're doing in terms of your beliefs about it. And you get it, that it's sort of logical that as humans, your beliefs about it would be like your partner's are, sort of based upon current manifestation. But things can't be based upon current manifestation, or nothing could evolve, could they? You got to be able to see past what is, because if you only see what is, then you just keep regurgitating more of what is. So it's completely illogical and yet understandable about how people sort of get into that place. So recently we've been talking about the satisfaction factor. And all that means is, since your inner being has a very clear opinion about you in this house, and you have an opinion about you in this house, then there is a possible variance. Now, the variance between you and your inner being is much less than the variance between your partner and his inner being, but still there is a variance between for both of you. And it's that variance that is the time factor that slows things down. And it's all right, because during that process you can gain more clarity and sometimes even create something even more fantastic than you had initially had underway. Does that make sense? Now let's talk about the co-creating part. Co-creating, which you usually mean, there's this person that I'm co-creating with, so it feels to me that what this person thinks about what we want matters. So you're making them more important to the equation than we want you to make them, but you told them they were important, and so you keep trying to make them important, and so we understand how that goes. Even the fact that this person is your partner, there were some things that the two of you have been evaluating for a while, which came to the reason that you are partners. It's about compatibility. And instead of compatibility, we want to use the word mutual, which sort of means the same thing. Am I mutual with this person? So let's say, because you have many aspects of your being, that there are some things that you are really mutual about. Your take on life, your feeling about being human in general, your basic philosophy about why people roam the earth and what you're here about, let's say. And let's say on those topics that you really have mutual vibration. And so anytime you focus on those things, you feel really good. But let's say you really like things orderly and your partner doesn't care about it. We're just making stuff up, but not so much. But so you're really not that mutual about that. Or let's say that you're a big tipper in the restaurant and your partner is a sort of stingy tipper. We're sort of making that up, but not really. And so there's not real mutual there either. But here's the thing. There is much that you are mutual about. And if you will focus upon those things. We were having this conversation with Esther the other day. And she recalls hearing us talk for years about positive aspects. And she sort of thought that positive aspects meant in every person or situation, there are aspects that are positive and aspects that are negative, and just look for the positive aspects, and that is in part what we mean. But what we mean is look for the aspects in whatever you're giving your attention to that lets you be mutual with your own inner being. Now, this is where this is going to start to make a lot of sense to you. No other person on this planet is going to be mutual with you on every subject. And in the quest for partnership, so often what you do, let's say you feel this way about something and someone else feels a different way, in your desire to be understood by that other person, in your desire to be heard by that other person, often you work for mutuality with them. But what happens is you mess up your mutuality with your inner being. Does that make sense? So you give up the only true mutuality that you will ever really be able to accomplish and maintain for something that moves about so much. And that's why subjects of relationships or co-creating seem hard to you. They don't need to. So let's go back and make sure that you heard the most important points that we were making here, because the most important point is, in your quest to be understood, you're willing to move out of your harmony to find harmony with another, and then you also lose your power, because your true power is in your alignment with this leverage of this energy that creates worlds. And then that's why, that's why you then feel irritated with your partner who won't come up where you are, because wouldn't come up where you are, so you had to go down where he was, and now you've left your inner being and it's his fault.
Well, I've been getting better at not doing that. And so when we have the misalignment, I think I try to use that as a really great opportunity to be inspired to new thought, look at things in a new way. And
yes, of course, all of that. But the question that you asked, you were worried about what the other person's part in this was. And the other person has no part in messing up your relationship with your inner being and with everything you want, unless you misunderstand what true partnership is. And what true partnership is, we're not even trying to talk you out of partnership with your partner and into partnership with your inner being. That's not our point either. Sort of really is always our point. Because we know that if you have the ability to look for positive aspects in your partner, that what that means is you're finding things in him that you and your inner being are already in agreement with. And it doesn't have to be all of them. There could be 9 things that you're out of whack with and 1 thing that you are really in alignment with, and you could have a sensational relationship with your ability to focus upon that 1 out of 10 things. Isn't that good to know? So it's really time for everyone to stop blaming someone else for you not getting what you want. Because really all it is sloppy thinking. Oh, because you're standing in front of me and I can see you and hear you and smell you and taste you and touch you, I'm going to seek mutuality with you rather than with my true desire. That doesn't make very much sense in this light, does it? So we know that you get, conceptually it makes sense. We know you understand the laws. You know enough about your inner being. But let's talk about it in very practical terms. So you found this place and you are both excited about it. So you're mutual in your desire for it, would you say?
Yes.
So each of you are mutual with your inner beings. Each of you are mutual with each other. In other words, there's a true compatibility, a vibrational equivalency, a true compatibility about this subject. But when it comes to how fast it's going to manifest, or whether the thoughts give you a thrill or a disappointment when you think about them, that's when you vary a little bit. So give us an example of something that your partner might say that when you hear it and focus there brings you toward his different vibration and away from your inner being's knowing about this. Is this a helpful analogy for you? Give us an example of that.
When he says, I don't know how we can get $4 million in the next 2 weeks before somebody else buys it.
So he makes a really good point, doesn't he?
I don't think so. It's as easy to create a castle as a button. The universe has an infinite number of ways to bring this to us.
Well, we don't agree with this point, but what we're saying is there is logic based upon what he has observed in life. There is logic in that. What does hearing that from him, what feeling does it cause within you? And we're going to ask that in a different way. Does it produce a feeling of satisfaction or a feeling of dissatisfaction?
Dissatisfaction.
All right, so a feeling of dissatisfaction, but do you know the dissatisfaction isn't because of what he believes. The dissatisfaction is because you joined him in that thought and you left
There's a lot of momentum in that thought, so it's really easy to activate.
Well, there's momentum all over the planet in that thought, but that really does not matter very much, does it? If you have decided at our encouragement to be someone who is, for the most part, really looking for satisfying thoughts, then are you capable of finding a more satisfying thought? Jerry used to talk about the fireplace. The spark comes off the log, gets on his sweater, and he flicks it off right away. No problem. But if he doesn't, then it burns a hole in his sweater. The dissatisfying thought, if you just brush it off and move to a more satisfying thought. So do you think you're capable of finding a more satisfying thought than the unsatisfying thought that he has presented to you?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what is it?
Maybe it's not as easy as I thought.
Well, you just told us I've seen it before. But here's the thing. If you go too hardcore with him and try to convince him that he's wrong and you're right because you've had experience about it, he's just going to get stronger and there's no satisfaction in an argument whatsoever, is there?